Here with Dr. Oberoi, and I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit more.
Okay. I'm Dr. Oberoi. I'm a naturopathic physician. I have an office up in Portland and one down in Salem. My practices both focus on women's health and digestive issues. And Colette and I are going to talk about detox today, which is one of my favorite things to talk about.
So I know a lot of you guys out there haven't ever done a cleanse, or you've done more of the kind of trendy ones. So I want to kind of get down to more of how do you support a healthy and supportive cleanse, and then what's the difference between a cleanse and a detox?
Right.
So let's start there.
Yeah, so cleanse versus detox, I think they're kind of semantics, at least in my experience. I think both of them are widely used in kind of the lay public and seem to mean essentially the same thing of taking bad stuff out of your body. Whereas I often see both cleansing and detoxing as an opportunity to really reset your health and bring a lot of good stuff in. When I talk to patients about a detox, so in my more sort of medical setting, it's a lot more about really supporting the body and getting rid of the chemicals that you've already been exposed to and cutting down on the chemicals that you're exposed to. So really encouraging liver detox function, cellular detox function. Whereas when we're talking about a cleanse with a patient, I often present it more as a, let's really look at your diet and take out the things that aren't working for you.
Excellent. All right. And right now we're at a turn of a season. So why do some people like to do cleanses as the seasons turn?
Yeah. So I think that cleansing is such a great way to just reconnect with your health and with your body, and also with the world that you live in. I really like spring cleanses, particularly because a lot of people have fallen off of their New Year's resolutions. So the spring cleanse is a great way to get back on track with that. But I think that the changing of the seasons is a great time to introduce some new foods into your diet, things that are available seasonally, bringing those in. In general, the human body does better on a rotation diet, so it's just a beautiful thing to be able to bring in foods that are more seasonal. And also the temperatures changing and things like that, that our bodies are very connected to the environment, and I think that we forget that when we get busy with our day-to-day. So a seasonal cleanse is a great way to just reconnect with that sort of aspect of our being.
Cool. Yeah. We'll get back to that a little bit more, I think, because I have some questions about a couple things that I've done too. But in terms of if I'm somebody who's never done a cleanse before, what should I do? Who should I ask to go to for not only just what cleanse to start, but what tests should I do before I start a cleanse?
So I think that I'm glad you're asking that question, because I see a lot of people post their first cleanse when they're not feeling good. So I think that the steps you take to get into a healthy cleanse are really important. One of the things I always look for in my patients is screening them for any sort of liver disease, because a lot of what we do in a cleanse or in a detox is that we enhance that major function of the liver to detoxify our body. And if you have any sort of issues with your liver going into that, a cleanse or a detox can really inflame that situation. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is the most common cause of liver disease in the States right now. And it's really due to diet and the way that people eat. But when you go from eating a standard American diet to whatever dietary change you make with a cleanse, it can really dramatically affect liver function to the point of causing quite a bit of sickness and inflammation in the liver. So that's one thing I always look at. We test that with a basic blood test. Urine testing is also good, just to make sure that you don't have any pre-existing issues with protein excretion, nitrogen excretion, those sorts of things. So I usually like to run some basic blood work and a urine test before I have a patient really get started on a cleanse.
And so that would be like, so a lot of people come in and say, oh, I just did the cayenne honey lemon and I feel awful. And that could possibly be just because their liver couldn't hold.
Yeah, and it could handle that dramatic change in caloric function, and it also could handle the amount of, so like when we do a detox, when we do a cleanse, we move toxins out of our cells where our body has very carefully protected them and kept them away, and it goes straight into the bloodstream, and that's just such a burden on the liver. And so doing something what I consider extreme as the honey cayenne cleanse, especially if you have no history of cleansing or you're coming off a standard American diet, that's a huge shift for the body, and a lot of people can feel awful on it. So those are definitely cases where if you haven't done a cleanse before, you definitely want to get some blood work done just to make sure it's safe for you.
Okay. And another thing that I've thought a lot about since I'm a seasoned, as you guys know, cleanser, is that getting the blood test sometimes will let me know what types of foods
Yeah.
I want to put in or take out, because I know if my magnesium is low, then I want to eat foods that are richer in magnesium.
Yeah.
Whereas if the calcium is low, I don't want to take those foods out,
Right.
because that again can cause me to have more of an issue of
Absolutely.
feeling sick and things like that, because now I've just depleted my electrolytes even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think about
Well,
that?
I think that it's important to know a lot of times when we do cleanses and detoxes, we take supplements alongside of them. And what you're saying is exactly why you want to do testing before you do a cleanse, because it's not just about putting foods in, taking foods out. It's about any other supplements you're taking and whether you need all that extra magnesium, whether you need to be taking out your multivitamin while you're doing it. So I think that some blood work can really help just enhance the whole cleanse process and really help you come out the other side healthier rather than exhausted and sick.
Yeah, exactly. And thinking like, why did I do this?
Exactly. So many people have that experience with cleanses where it's just terrible and they wonder why they ever would do it again.
Yeah.
And it's usually a sign of improper preparation and not really knowing what you're signing up for.
Cool. See, so you guys want to find
Yeah.
a doctor, Dr. Oberoi, to get you started, okay? And then as we go into it, once we know those sort of things, then how do we choose from all the different types of situations out there? Because you can do something where you're supplementing and you have things that are going to clean you out with herbs and different things like that. And just do that and eat more of your regular diet. Or you can do an elimination diet without having something else that you're supplementing with. You can do a fast. You can do water only.
There's so many options. Yeah. So I think that when I have a patient coming into me wanting to do a cleanse, the first thing I really look at is what their current diet and lifestyle is. If I have a person who's, working 40 to 60 hours a week, they're just go all the time, eating a very standard American diet, that is not the type of person I'm going to put on a fast. That is not the type of person I'm going to put on any sort of extreme calorie restriction type of cleanse, because their lifestyle just isn't going to, they're just not going to be able to function on that sort of cleanse. For those sorts of people, I really think that an elimination reintroduction diet is the best first step, because that gives them the knowledge of which foods are working for them and which foods are working against them. And those are the sorts of patients where a little bit of a digestive support, like either digestive enzymes or probiotics, where they can just digest and absorb their food better, is a really good step towards cleansing. For patients like you who are really experienced with that sort of thing, I think fasting can be amazing. Especially because when you do it really safely and you're taking in things like bone broth, where you might be doing some juicing here and there, and to take maybe a slightly lower workload, or your body's just healthy enough where you can function at 100% on that lower caloric function, can be a beautiful thing. But I have to say, most of my patients are coming in never having done a cleanse before, or having tried something really extreme and had it not work for them. And so I tell them that for them, cleansing and detoxing needs to be kind of a repeated baby step process, where we get your body to the point where you can tolerate like a long weekend fast or something like that.
So that's something too you brought up about workload.
Yeah.
So I know some people have come in and they're just like, I'm doing this cleanse and it's driving me crazy because I've got all this going on at work.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so no one's talked to you about timing.
Yeah.
So I always find for myself, I try to look at my schedule, and I know if I'm going to have a lot going on with clients, plus a lot going on in my personal life, that's not the time that I want to do a cleanse. I want to almost have it to where if I'm going to have a week off, that I'll start it then. And I always like to start it whatever my Friday is going to be, and then have my first serious day of something
with nothing going
on a Saturday.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think that, in an ideal world, if I'm going to put a person on any kind of cleanse, that ideal world, that first week is just off for them, because they're really shifting the priorities of the energies of their body to digesting and detoxing, and you're going to slow down a little bit. And so there's nothing worse than going on a cleanse and going back to work full time with a headache, feeling hungover, blood sugars all over the place. That's not the function of a cleanse. And I think that that's another aspect that people really have to think about with a cleanse, is that it's not just about what you're putting into your body, it's really about the environment that your body's functioning within.
So another question I have is, when people are trying to do something, like I've got a couple clients who have POS and trying to change their reproductive system.
Yeah.
More support for that. Why is a cleanse or a detox something someone in that situation should do?
Two huge things come up for me. The first one is our environment that we're all walking around in, the air we're breathing, the foods we're eating are all so hormonally laden. Even if you're being great about choosing organic or hormone-free, you don't have 100% control over what your food is exposed to. And it's just the reality of the world we live in. We are exposed to way more hormones than we need. So the first thing that a cleanse can really do is help your body remove some of those exposures. And there's some specific supplements I might use in patients who have PCOS or endometriosis. But overall, it tends to be really looking at where their animal food sources are coming from, especially. So dairy, eggs, meat proteins, and making sure that that part's really cleansed. And so those are the types of patients, if we're doing a short-term cleanse, absolutely going vegan, vegetarian for a short period of time is a huge, big piece of it. The other aspect specifically for PCOS is around blood sugar issues. So PCOS is basically a condition where your body's reproductive system does funky stuff when you eat more carbs than your body can handle. And so a cleanse is another beautiful opportunity to take out some of those more problematic foods, whether they are actually carbs like rice or protein or rice or breads or pastas or things like that, and add in way more vegetables that have all the antioxidants in them. Or secondarily, if you have a food sensitivity, and I see this with almost all of my patients who have any type of women's health reproductive type of problem, is that they're eating some kind of food that's keeping their body in an inflamed state, which prevents your body from functioning at its optimal level.
Okay. I had a couple questions come as you're talking. So I used to and normally had done more of a vegan elimination diet when I did it. So I guess that would be the first question. Let me ask you that. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying, so when you do an elimination diet, what are you taking out? So for me, I typically take out all animal products, but I also take out, which would include dairy.
Yeah.
But I also take out like strawberries. I'll take out corn. Those aren't animal products, but I'll take those out too. I'll take out peanuts. So, and people always ask, well, why the strawberries? You know, why corn? Why certain things like that?
So what I do in the cleanse that I tend to offer my patients is a modified version of what you do. So we do kind of a graded elimination and then a graded reintroduction. So we remove all animal products, then we remove all grains, then we remove the most sort of toxic fruits and vegetables that are out there. So the Environmental Working Group puts out their list of the dirty dozen. I definitely have people take those ones out. And then you spend about 2 days on that really limited diet, and then you start reintroducing. So it's not like a long period of time where you're really restricted. But I do think that the animal products are huge. I think that the grains are just such a problem for the majority of my patients that whether or not you're celiac or gluten sensitive, it's at least worth doing the elimination reintroduction. The other one I want to mention is eggs. Eggs is something I'm seeing coming up all the time for patients. So that's another really important one to take out and put back in. And then we have like those dirty dozen. And in those cases, I think more so than the food, we're testing the toxins and how your body does with those. So legumes like peanuts, they have this fungus that likes to grow on them. So depending on your source, you could be reacting to the peanut, you could be reacting to the fungus that's on there. Strawberries are always in the top 12 dirty dozen, most pesticide laden, herbicide laden, along with bell peppers and things. So I think that it's really important to look at all of those different groups and bring them back in. And whether you do them as this graded elimination reintroduction, or whether you want to do a blood test, we do a food allergy test in my office that really helps people hone in, because sometimes it's really intimidating for people to think about all of these things to take out. So sometimes doing a food sensitivity test can really help you hone in on maybe the top 3-4 things that might give you the most bang for your buck in terms of elimination.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You want to kind of test what your body, what your DNA is reacting or not reacting to.
Exactly.
And when I first started doing my elimination, I did take it longer, and even now I still do. So some people will say, you're on a 30-day. Well, it's not that. It's because when you gradate it.
Yeah.
That's not the proper word. But when you're doing it slowly and you're starting by just eliminating meats,
Mm-hmm.
and you do that for about a week and see how your body's going to react, and then you eliminate the next thing, it's going to take you about a month.
It does. It
overall.
absolutely does. In general, for my patient with a food sensitivity testing, where we do blood work and we see that these things are aggravating your immune system, I usually recommend a 6-week elimination because it just takes time for your body first to get it all out of your system, then to calm down, and then we do a really methodical reintroduction because you've done all the hard work of eliminating. We want you to get the best data possible for the reintroduction.
And when I was going through to try to figure out if I was gluten intolerant, I think the re-entry was the most important.
Definitely.
Really want to go slow with that because you've got to see which, you don't want to introduce too much at the same time.
Absolutely.
So they can really tell what your body's going to react to.
Yeah.
Once your body reacts to that, oh my gosh, let me tell you, waking up at 3 in the morning in a fetal position, I will never have rye bread again, even though that was one of my favorites.
Your body talks to you, doesn't it?
The other thing, going back to the POS, is as always, as you guys know, I like to put myself through things that you guys are doing or before you guys do them. So a lot of you guys out there are working with personal trainers. So I found a personal trainer who's an MMA fighter. They're all really big on the ketogenic meal plan. I was shocked at that one. Like the first 2 weeks were hell.
Yeah.
Because
you're totally switching your metabolism.
Yeah. So that then is not so much vegan, because you're introducing that. But again, why is that something? And I did, I went to New Seasons and I did the elk and the venison and the buffalo and the lamb, all organic. I didn't do the processed meats that a lot of the fighters do. I went with more of the gamey meats and I cooked them at home really well. I didn't do the processed stuff. So
all the difference in the world. So especially because the paleo diet is still so popular and any type of ketogenic approach is just inherently, because what they're trying to achieve with the macronutrient ratios, going to be heavier in the animal products. And I can't tell you how many people I've had say, I tried the Whole30, I tried the paleo diet, I didn't lose any weight, I didn't feel any better. And those are the people who are eating a ton of peanut butter, a ton of non-organic eggs, all kinds of non-organic proteins. So if you're taking a diet that's going to be high in protein, if you want the best possible outcome from it, meaning better health, you really need to do organic options. You really need to do whole foods that you are preparing yourself, because the non-organic animal products, they don't have that healthy fat ratio. They have all of those antibiotics and hormones in them. You can't expect to get healthy eating foods like that.
Because you're still challenging your system with an overload.
Hugely, yeah. So I think the ketogenic diet can work for people. I know the paleo diet can work for a lot of people. But what I always tell patients when they're starting any type of new dietary is look at it as a short-term trial. And if it doesn't work for you, that's not your fault. It's not that your body is broken. It just means that diet just happens to not work for you.
Exactly.
And so, I have plenty of patients who are super healthy vegans, and I have plenty of patients who are super healthy paleo eaters. And so there shouldn't be judgment about what the diet is. It should just be approaching it with curiosity and saying, how does my body feel on this?
Excellent. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I know for myself, I tried to be vegan, for a while and go raw.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of you guys, acupuncture, naturopaths said, Colette, your body is just not producing or being able to hold on to enough of iron.
Yeah.
You really need to have meat. And so some people are shocked when I say, I eat a lot of meat. So my recommendation, my suggestion is you really do need to work with a naturopath, but also you need to work with yourself to get to understand. So not only can an elimination diet be something for a cleanse, but it can also be a way for you to mix and match foods.
Absolutely.
To see how your
because
DNA
you
is going to respond.
You might do really well on a completely vegan diet with red meat twice a week. That might be your diet.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I love about cleansing, detoxing, elimination, it's so empowering for people to be able to say, I know that food is totally fine for me. I can eat wheat, no problem, but oh my gosh, the corn is the problem. I would so much rather a patient come in and say that I can eat this and this and this, and I can't eat this and this and this, rather than say, I am vegan, I am paleo, because
Yes.
it's more important to listen to what your body is than to try and fit a label.
Perfect. Yeah. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. You know, I say that on the massage table too. You have to listen to your body to know what your muscles are doing. You also have to listen to your body to know what your chemistry and your hormones are going to do together.
Absolutely.
It's also important for your nervous system because all this fuels all
the
of
nervous
that.
system. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's another reason, if we do get to nervous system, why sometimes going through a cleanser detox, you've been running on sympathetic, and your body's going to, for the first couple of weeks, rev up in that sympathetic nervous system.
That I do see a lot of that, and it really has to do with just your body again trying to you're changing your energy sources, right? You're changing the type of fuel you put in, so you've got to give your body a little bit of leeway to change its output. And also, you know, there's just so much more awareness about what am I eating? Am I hungry? Am I getting enough water? So it's just a different way that your body's working. And so that's part of why I like to have people take a lighter schedule when they're doing it, so they can make that focused time every day to enhance the parasympathetic nervous system, to journal, meditate, go for a walk outside, whatever lets your body come out of that fight or flight and into that rest and digest, right?
Yeah. And it's perfect. She talked about the energy. There is definitely energy in food. So that's another thing too, is not only are you trying to take something or put something in, but you want to see how your energy harmonizes with the energy of the food that you're taking. And one way to look at that and to understand about the energy that's still in that food, that even though you're getting vegetables that have been taken out of the ground, you guys have probably seen a lot of those videos where you can cut the celery or you can cut the green onion, put it in water, and it grows again. That is a perfect example of how those foods still have life force in them. And that's what we're harmonizing. We're literally becoming the food that we eat. We're taking that life force in,
you are what you eat,
and bringing that energy in. So think about that too. You know, when you're shopping and you go in, and it's going to sound a little woo-woo, but really, what vibrations are you getting? What foods are calling to you? Because that's an energy calling to you that your body needs or wants.
Which is another nice thing that happens when you do a cleanser or detox, is that you do start to develop a different relationship with food, and you start listening to your body. So yeah, maybe the broccoli is on sale, but you're like, ooh, cauliflower sounds really good. And then you should totally follow that, right? Don't follow it when it takes you down the ice cream aisle, but you follow it around the produce area.
Exactly. And once you get off of the cleanse, you know, and you like had about 6 weeks or something, go with a healthier, like coconut ice cream or something like that, because you will eventually want to come back to it. But there are healthy choices when you want to have a sweet tooth. You know?
Absolutely. I always tell my patients, you know, my goal as a naturopathic physician is not to take foods away from you. The goal is to give you the information that allows you to have freedom in your food choices, so that when it's your birthday, you can have birthday cake of whatever type works for you and not be sick for the rest of the week with it. You know, I think it's really important for us to be able to experience our world at its fullest. You know, go to Rome, eat pasta, go to France, have a croissant. I think that that's a sign of health. But because if I have a patient who tells me I can never eat this or I am so sick, that tells me a lot about their underlying health. The answer to that issue is not just never eat that food. The answer is, okay, what can we do to really work on your health so that you can be exposed and not be taken down by it? And so, you know, yes, you get a dopamine hit when you eat some dark chocolate, but that's what's wrong with that? You know, eat some dark chocolate once in a while. Again, there's so much judgment around food that I really try to take off for people. And again, approaching the cleansing, detoxing as an educational, empowering situation rather than a restrictive, oh man, poor me, I can't eat that situation.
Exactly. Too. And you were saying like doing something for an extended period of time versus a short time and seasonal. I think when I really started thinking about the ketogenic, and I'm trying to get my vocabulary changed from diets to more of meal plans or lifestyles. So when you take that into consideration, we used to be humans that actually really followed nature and followed the seasons. And our bodies are naturally trying to go into ketosis at certain periods of time. Like right now, why I think spring is a really good time to start thinking about a cleanse is that's when your body would normally come out of having all the stored fat and then all of the animals would come back. You would be able to go and hunt again.
Yeah.
The vegetables are springing up, so you're going to shift more into that, and your body then can start to burn off that energy it needed to store during the winter months.
Yep, absolutely. As we become more active, as the
Mhm.
sunshine hopefully starts to come out
Yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
more, days get a little bit longer, you're more active. Absolutely.
And as Dr. Oberoi was saying too, you want to look at when the seasons change, there's different foods for you available in your region.
Yep.
So eating regionally and seasonally is also a form of cleansing.
Absolutely.
Naturally.
And it reduces the risk for developing food sensitivities. One thing I notice all the time is when I go over food sensitivity profile with the patient, they see it and they're like, oh my God, I eat that every day.
Yeah.
That might be part of the problem, right? Rotating through different foods gives your immune system a wider sense of what's safe and what's not safe. And so I think that eating in a rotation, what we call a rotation diet, and you're saying eating regionally and seasonally, I think it's just absolutely the human way to go.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think that we should wrap up here pretty soon. Did you have any last questions?
One last question I would say is, I went to Thailand and did a cleanse before I left. 30 days of it, went there, and they do Chinisong, which is abdominal massage, as a form of cleansing detox.
Yeah.
And it surprised me how much I still had stored. So one last question would be, what do you feel about not only looking at foods and timing, but adding supplemental hands-on work?
Elimination support, absolutely. Whether you want to support your elimination with added fiber or probiotics to help your colon actually release some of the toxins that you're getting out of your cells, or, oh my God, I love abdominal massage. I think that touch is so healing and therapeutic and something that's way underutilized in our culture. And it's done in Ayurvedic medicine too, the whole oil massages that they do there. So I'm a huge fan of that sort of thing. Whether it's, even if you do it at home, I know you teach your clients how to do it for themselves, but I, give out handouts about castor oil topically massaged or just as packs. I think that that's a really important way to support detox. And I love the way it happens because all you're really doing is increasing blood flow. And blood flow means oxygen, it means nutrients, it means helping those toxins move out of your body without having to use any sort of chemical substance to do that.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us and give us a little bit more information from the medical side. I would love, since we have so much more to talk about.
We'll definitely do this again. It'll be great.
Yeah,
definitely. All right, thank you, Colette.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.